Geoffrey Cooper passed into the spiritual world on Friday, April 17th, 2020. He was 95 years old, and this video is preliminary because there will be a full memorial service held at the Bernathen Cathedral when things are back to normal and we are able to gather again. In the meantime, let this message serve as an acknowledgement of his passing and a brief tribute to his life. We'll begin with the opening of the word, followed by the Lord's Prayer. The Lord is good to all, and his tender mercies are over all his works. Amen. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Portion of Isaiah chapter 40. Have you not known? Have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. And from John, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Amen. If you're watching this video, then you knew Geoffrey Cooper, and you knew him to be a good man. He leaves behind his children, Karen DeMaine, Joanne Jody Cooper, Geoffrey Brian, known as Brian Cooper, and Kathleen, or Kathy, Johns, and their loved ones. Preceding him into the next world are his beloved wife, Gaynell Johnston Cooper, and their son, Wayne Hartley Cooper. He, Geoffrey, has 17 grandchildren and 22 great-grandchildren. Geoffrey grew up in Bernathen, Pennsylvania, and graduated from the Academy of the New Church Boys School on June 3rd, 1943, only to be drafted immediately into the Army on July 5th. By September of 1944, he was serving on the front lines in France, as they advanced toward Germany. And in December, he was wounded by an artillery shell, which exploded in a tree above his head. The medics took him to a building that had been converted into a field hospital. And when he entered the room of about 40 wounded men, one of them suddenly said, "Hey, aren't you Geoff Cooper?" It was his friend John Alden. And over their 30 days of recovery, they would often sing church and academy songs together to the delight of all the others. The Battle of the Bulge began just a couple of days after they entered that hospital, and so they missed it. Geoffrey was proud to be a veteran of World War II and often was invited to speak of his years of service. After the war back in Bernathen, Geoffrey met Gaynell Ruth Johnston. I have to say that Gaynell was best friends with my mother, Gina Thomas, at the time, both of Tarentum, Pennsylvania. Gaynell hadn't grown up in the new church, and my mother talked her into coming with her and enrolling at the Academy of the New Church College. She introduced them on what used to be an outside stairway on the front of the Civic and Social Club. And Uncle Jeff, our family always called him that, loved to say that when he met Gaynell, they gazed into each other's eyes for a full minute. This was his way of telling people that with them, it was love at first sight. He was very devoted to her. They were married at the Pittsburgh New Church on the evening of September 17, 1949. Gina's father, my grandfather, Joe Thomas, sang the Ave Maria by Tito Schipa. The Huntington Valley Building and Loan decided to open the Huntington Valley Federal Savings and Loan, and they hired Geoffrey Cooper to run it, opening in February of 1953. He was the only employee for a while, he has said, writing mortgage loans for customers, as well as answering the phone, cleaning the office, taking out the trash, and doing every other job until the first teller was hired. Geoffrey served there for 44 years in different capacities, including president, chairman, and as a member of the board of directors. When he left, the institution became HV Bank. He talked about his time there with great affection, citing the many friends he made over the years. When they were building the new building at the corner of Red Lion and Huntington Pike, Geoffrey was talking to his daughter Karen and saying that he was trying to decide whether or not to have an ATM machine outside. She said that of course they should. Why would he even think otherwise? He replied that if people frequented a machine outside, he would sorely miss seeing them inside. To greet people there was one of his favorite parts of the job. He really loved people. Geoffrey Cooper served as a volunteer with many banking associations, Rotary International, the Visiting Nurse Association. He was treasurer for 2 general assemblies of the General Church of the New Jerusalem, a member of the General Church's Board of Directors for 9 years, a member of the Joint Council, a member of New Church Challenge, a patron of the Bernathen Orchestra, and so on, with others. In an article about ethical behavior, published in New Church Life in 1988, Geoffrey wrote this: "None of us performs ideally all the time, but each of us can exert real effort to do better, and that applies to both our personal and our business relationships." In a recent online family meeting, Geoffrey's children and their loved ones spoke of him with great love and affection. There were stories about him helping his own children and then their children to build sandcastles at the shore, and then waiting to see if the tide would wash them away or leave some parts intact, as if to see if they won or the ocean won. There were stories of him at restaurants, asking for, quote, well-soaked French toast for breakfast, or for favorite usual items at Applebee's, where his most recent favorite waitress was Dana. They loved him there. There were stories of him and Gaynell trying to get grandchildren to go to church, or stories of his love for playing games, never letting anyone win, even if they were 6 years old. He loved bird watching, and he loved eagles in particular. He would teach a grandchild about banking or how to sweep a patio properly. There will be more story highlights and anecdotes, of course, at the full memorial service for Geoffrey Cooper, to be held at the Bernathen Cathedral on a date yet to be determined, when we can all be together again. After all, Geoffrey was born in a building on the cathedral grounds. Geoffrey spent many happy years at Caronwood Village, where he had many friends. He was well cared for by family members and by caretakers such as Mary Ellen. He moved to a facility run by Gloria Dei Communities called The Park on Davisville Road in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, where over time he enjoyed visits from family and friends. Toward the end, he heard the words of Psalm 23 and the Lord's Prayer read to him, and the Lord upon you send his blessing, sung to him. These have been highlights of the life of Geoffrey Cooper. He will be missed by all who knew him and loved him. We look forward to the day when we can gather together in community to hear more about his life and to celebrate his friendship, his smile, and his handshake that simply wouldn't let go. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40. Amen. The Lord give his angels charge over you to keep you safe in all your ways.